Hey guys, welcome back to The Angle, Perspectives of the Toronto Real Estate Market. I'm your host, Amy Youngren, founder of North Group Real Estate, and I'm really pumped because I'm joined today by Scott Hurren, who is the founder and CEO of OTBX Air, which is an amazing media company. You guys have locations all across Canada, right? Or service
Yeah,
all across
we
Canada.
do. Yeah, we have over 115 photographers and videographers across Canada. We're in almost every
Awesome.
major city center, and we do it all virtually, all remote. We don't have a physical office. So,
And what does OTBX stand for?
oh, TVX stands for outside the box.
Outside the box. I love that. Well, I like working with people in our industry that think outside the box. So I enjoy working with you, Scott, and I'm glad we're having this conversation today. In your maybe just dive into like what you're seeing in the real estate market right now from your position and from your experience.
Sure. I think it's a really competitive landscape right now. We're seeing a lot of agents who are very driven and hungry to win listings, and they're trying to find new and creative ways to do that. I think it's becoming more and more competitive for them. And so, really, for a seller, it's a great opportunity for them to really evaluate different agents who are coming through to really ask some tough questions, not just what is the commission that you're going to charge me, but how are you going to market my property? What sets you apart? What's different about you? I actually
Mm.
think the client journey is really interesting. Like we live in a time right now where online reviews are very commonplace, right? Like if you're booking a trip or you're looking at a restaurant on Yelp, you're going to the review section. You want to hear what other people are saying. The same thing applies to agents. So that's kind of almost like top of the funnel. If someone's looking for an agent, they're going there first or reading reviews or coming to the website. They want to see, like, talk to me through video. How are
Yeah.
you? What sets you apart? How do you market my property? What makes you special? So there's so much opportunity that I think for agents specifically in this market, there's a need to do more and to go above and beyond for sure.
So all to that point, even though buyers and sellers, they're not your end customer, we as agents are, but
Yeah.
it's the buyers and sellers that are the ones that are going to see the benefit from your services. So why do you think it's so important for a seller specifically to hire an agent that really leverages video marketing?
Well, video is unique in a sense because video can be leveraged in so many ways. You can create some great video content that creates an emotional response. It's very different than still photography, for example. So if you take a picture of a house or you take a video of the house, the video, when you put it to music and you time it right, you can elicit an emotion in the viewer. But then you can also take that content and you can run it in different platforms. So agents who are doing real estate right they're running ads on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and not necessarily just for the seller's property, but also for other properties that they're doing maybe collectively in their neighborhood or in their community. So they're actually driving people to come and just putting more eyeballs on the listing itself. So I think for if you're weighing out an agent who's really strong on social media and creating great content, really storytelling well compared to an agent who isn't, to me, if you're the seller, it's like you're losing out. Why would you not go with somebody who is, really strong when it comes to marketing? Like marketing, that's really what you're hiring an agent for at the end of the day, is
Yeah.
for, their marketing and sales expertise and negotiation for the most part, right? Like, so if an agent, the best way to evaluate that, I think, right out of the gate is like, how are they marketing? How are they showing up on social? How do they market a property? And does it stand out compared to others in the marketplace?
We always say that we are in the marketing and sales strategy business, but real estate or homes happens to be our product.
Totally.
So I completely agree with you. Maybe let's just dive into that a little bit when you talked a bit about like neighborhood marketing communities. So that is, there's a lot of talk about that, and we're seeing that prevalent in the real estate industry now, where agents are highlighting the neighborhood and the community and all the amenities and the surroundings while they're marketing a property. Do you think that, how do you think that a seller would object to that? Do you think a seller should object to that? Because as a seller, you want the focus to be on your home. But some say, well, it's the neighborhood that's selling my home. What's your perspective on that? Because I know you're seeing it regularly with
Sure.
with your services.
Yeah, I think it's super important. To me, it's, most people, unless, even if they're I was going to say, unless they're looking at it as an investment property, but most people, like, the neighborhood matters, right? It's like, is it in a good location? Is it safe? Are there good schools? Are there nearby parks? Is it accessible to transit? There's so many, like, what's the walking score? There's so many things to tell in sort of the story on a property more than just it's 3 bedroom and 2 bath, right?
Yeah.
It's where is it located and why does that matter? And I think sometimes I actually think agents downplay that. They actually don't step into it as much as they possibly could. It's like, you think about a court, for example, like just the design of a court. Court creates a very different environment, living environment to raise kids, right? Cars
Mhm.
only come out of the court if the people live there for the most part. So kids, you get this environment where neighbors come out, it's a central spot, kids are around on bikes. That's a very different feel than being on a main street. And
Yeah.
so if you're not talking about the court and what value that brings, and all the focus is on the home, you're leaving a huge piece behind in part of the storytelling of
Yeah.
why someone look at that house.
You took the words right out of my mouth because I was going to say that it's stories that sell. We know that it's, and appealing to emotion and driving emotion, like you said at
Sure.
the very beginning. And you just can't get that completely when you're talking about bedrooms and bathrooms and features and finishes.
Totally.
It's what's the lifestyle, and that's actually part of, when we're doing a buyer strategy session with new clients that are looking to buy a home for the first time, or they're upsizing or downsizing. It's what is your lifestyle? What's important to you? How I often say to my potential clients, I say, like, walk me through a Wednesday evening, walk me through a Saturday morning. You wake up, what are you doing? And you draw then out of them, like, well, it's really important that I'm taking the dog for a walk, or it's important that I'm close to getting my kids to gymnastics. So all of
Totally.
these features, these highlights of the neighborhood, they are so critical to convey in marketing when you're
Yeah, I actually
selling.
think sometimes that a property could actually be sold almost just on the neighborhood. Like, if all the neighborhood
Right.
qualities, even if the house wasn't maybe the best, but all of those qualities that someone's looking for are there, it's like, well, I can work with this. We
Yeah.
could renovate whatever, but you can't move it, right? So it's like, but if I knew, hey, it's close to transit, it's close to hiking trails,
Yeah.
I can get to the water quick, the schools are great in the district, crime is low, easy
Dog
access
parks.
onto
Well,
a
yeah,
highway. Yeah, then it's
exactly.
like, well, it's ticking all these boxes. So I think it's super important that an agent is talking about those different boxes and where it fits. One of the examples we hear sometimes too, though, is the opposite of that, where it's like the house is actually behind, like there's a train track running in behind the house. So
Right.
that becomes a gray area where it's like, well, do we feature this? Like, often throw a drone up and look at a house and be like, don't show the railroad track, but it's important at the end of the day too. And I think that's where there's a healthy balance of an agent being honest and disclosing, but then the video is designed to do its job, and the video's job is to get people to come through to see it and get people to fall in love and come out for a showing. So I think there's a delicate balance there sometimes too, because not every house is in the most ideal neighborhood. And there are some times too where neighborhoods or condo buildings have reputation, right? They actually come with negative stigma where it's like everybody looks at that building and goes, that building
Right.
had all kinds of problems. I'm never buying there. And I think there's an opportunity for agents to actually dig a little bit deeper and find out, well, what's now going on? Have the problems been resolved? Are we seeing improvement and address those things too? So I think there's a lot that could be done on community for sure.
I completely agree with you. You just said the line, let the video do its job. So maybe you could just dive into, like, from your experience and in your professional opinion, what type of marketing do you think should be like, it's not even a consideration that this now needs to be the norm? Because I can't believe that we still see listings on a, you'd be surprised how often
Yeah.
videos shot on an iPhone or photos from an iPhone. There's no professionalism behind it. There's no strategy behind it, let alone community or neighborhood marketing. So it's just the baseline of like, I've taken a few photos from my iPhone. In
Sure.
your opinion, what should be the baseline that every seller should be, in their interview process, expecting of their agent? And then what are you seeing as like the wow factor
Yeah.
from marketing services?
A few things. I think COVID changed a lot for us when it came to 360 tours. So in COVID, you couldn't go through the house the same way that we can now. Thank goodness
Yeah.
we've returned there. But it made people a lot more comfortable with this idea of shopping online. I always think about the QR code, right? The QR code before COVID, you went to a restaurant, it was like they make you scan a QR code.
Yeah.
Half of society wouldn't know what to do. Now they understand what to do. So the same thing's kind of applied here, where it's become more commonplace now that people understand how to navigate a Matterport or an iGuide tour. They have the ability to kind of see, and they can do a lot of that homework before they actually go there. And what I like with that is they're actually not wasting the time of the buying agent, and they're not wasting the time of the seller who has to vacate the home. It's like if
Absolutely.
you're the layout's not going to work for you. So some agents would challenge that and go like, I don't like the 360 because it actually gives too much, and I just want to get people through the door. And then there's others who are like, no, I've got foreign buyers. I got people who might be looking at this who can't physically get there, and I want to give them every opportunity to see as much as they can online. So I think that to me, 360 is still huge today. I think it provides a level of still kind of a little bit of wow factor too. If you're going through listings like, oh, they've got a 360 tour. Okay, this is good. And if you're comfortable with it, it's like that extra level. Video, there's no question. I think for the reasons I mentioned before, video just can elicit emotion, right? You can actually get people to feel something through music, through the angles.
Mhm.
You can hide some stuff that you can't in the 360 sometimes. And maybe it's like, we're not going to show that one room that needs a major reno in the video. We'll let them see that when they get to the property. But to me, if you're just doing basic video, I think for the agent's sake, you're doing your client a disservice. It's just simply not enough. And I'm shocked that agents are still winning listings when that's all that they do. And I think there's a lot of pressure for agents. I just always picture if there were 3 or 4 agents all around a dining table with the seller, and you went around and you asked every single one of them, what are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me? The answers would be different amongst all of them. And so why would you go with the person who's going to do the least? They might be a little bit better rate, maybe, but I don't know. To me, I think there's a lot of opportunity for agents to really look at their listings as investments too. This is, pour into a listing because you can use it in your portfolio to say, look,
Mhm.
we helped our seller get top dollar. Here's how we did it. We marketed right. We ran ads, and we did it right. And you can tell that story. And it's interesting. And like we also find like the agents who do the most volume with us actually do the most to market their properties.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's an interesting correlation where it's like the people that are doing the highest volume do the most. And I've seen agents, you're no exception, where it's kind of like, we have a standard. If we're listing your house, I don't care whether it's a townhouse or a detached home and the values are different. There's a standard of how we market that property and we don't deviate. That's the
Yeah.
way we do it because we want to pour in and we believe, like they look at it that way, where I think there's still a lot of people who look at it and go, how do I get my costs down?
Mhm.
Because I'm not going to make as much of a commission on this one. There's not thinking long term. And I think they're doing the seller and themselves in that
And
case.
themselves, I was going to say for sure a disservice. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I completely agree with you. I think on that note, the best piece of advice I could possibly say is like sellers, you deserve more. You deserve the best, and make sure that you're interviewing and that you're hiring a realtor that is going to utilize services like
Sure.
OTBX to ensure that they're getting maximum exposure and maximum marketing for your property. That's
Yeah.
what's going to drive the price. That's what's going to drive the marketing. the realtor gets involved in helping to prepare the property to ensure that it is decluttered and prepped from a painting or cleaning or, minor contract repair, like anything like that that needs to be done, getting it staged, etc. Then you bring in a media, you bring in a marketing company so that that property will get the maximum number of eyeballs on it. Like that is our goal. Exposure is the number one goal and number one sales tactic, and you have to have the maximum number of eyeballs. And you do that through video. You do that through video marketing, short form, long form, Matterport, all of these different aspects that Scott is talking about. And I think you, as a seller, you deserve to ensure that you're hiring somebody that's going to represent you, that will bring in services like OTBX and agents.
Totally. I think the other thing with video is interesting. Like a lot of people, we still hear this where people are like, oh, video content needs to be short, and I think it's really important to understand where the content is going to be used. So if someone's scrolling through Instagram, the likelihood that that person is scrolling going, I'm looking for a house today is slim. They could do it. They could search hashtags to like, real estate in an area, and they could do that. But the majority of people, when they go on social, they're in the scroll hole. They're just going through, they're seeing everything from cat videos to a friend's post, and then they see Amy's listing. And it's like, in that context, you need to capture their attention real fast, right? Where it's like, I'm gonna watch this. What is this? Oh, this is where community matters. Like, that's my downtown. I know that shot. That's my park. You can capture them, but they're not really in the home buying mode. But when they come over to MLS, or they're actually researching and they're going through the listings and they can click on a video, they're in a very different modality, different mindset. They're there now researching this house. They'll give you way more time. They'll sit there for 3 minutes and be like, entertain me, take me through, show me, slow it down, explain to me the features and benefits of this home, talk to me about the neighborhood, because they're researching is a very different place. So content fits into all of these different spots. Like you can get exposure, but you can go on and talk for a longer period of time about a property too. And I think it's important that, you nailed it. Like people need to be asking more of their agents. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people just don't know, and they still just like, well, I just work with John. He's my guy. He lives down, and they don't really do. But if you're doing the research, I think you would see drastic differences between how agents are marketing properties or themselves, and what their systems are. How they do it varies drastically from agent to agent.
I couldn't agree with you more. This has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you joining me today, Scott. I'm going to, we'll get the word out about OTBX. Sellers, like I said, you deserve more. Make sure that when you're interviewing your realtor, that standards like marketing standards like OTBX are the baseline. You deserve that. And realtors that you're listening, that you're watching, reach out to Scott, reach out to OTBX. Their company is phenomenal. We work with them regularly. Can't say enough good things about you guys. So thanks so much for joining us today.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.